Hey everybody, checking in to see how you did with that lunar eclipse. There was some pretty serious energy. You may have noticed that a couple days prior or the day of the eclipse, there was like this emotions that came up, really just things that you may have thought that you already had worked through, kind of just came up into your face, or it was very much the base emotions. And then the mind creates a story around it. Some of you may have had physical purging as well. This is all completely normal. Now, this morning, and I was checking in with my team, what they said was this eclipse corridor, the time in between the eclipses, is super, super important. We're going to be receiving quite a few activations. Now, yes, these can be coming from the sun, like your CMEs, things like that, plasma coming in. But what they were sharing is that there are other activations that are not registrable on a scale. So it's not like we're going to be able to go, oh, yes, there was a CME, or, oh, the Schumann resonance is doing this. That's not what this is. This is something that's going to come in and it's going to hit people. And it feels like that really tired kind of hitting, right? To where you're taken offline and you need to just relax. Now, what's interesting is the purpose of all of this and this corridor is very much about embodiment. It's about owning more of who you are, walking your truth, really activating within yourself your divine plan, and being here at a much greater degree. Now, this is all super important, and this corridor between the eclipses is the prime ground. It's very fertile for these energies to come in and for us to process them. Now, simultaneously, what they said was that we need to be very aware of distractions, because this time period, it's interesting because what they were saying to me is they said, not only is there going to be the outer events in the world that can, pull you this way, look here, like the whole squirrel, instead of doing what you really need to be doing, which is digging in and being in a state of receiving through a high vibration. So they said that not only can distractions come from outside and from our loved ones and from life. I mean, life is distracting. But a lot of the distraction can actually come from within us. And I want you to understand that our unhealed parts, maybe it's ego, maybe it's the shadow, maybe it's the inner child, may all be clamoring for attention right now. Partly because there is this fear that can come in when we have these massive activating downloads. The fear comes in of the unknown. What is going to happen to me as I embody more of who I am? It's this simultaneous, I want full embodiment, and yet I'm kind of terrified of what that looks like. What is that going to do to my world, my relationships, etc., etc., etc. We've all been through this. But what can happen is that the inner child, the shadow, all of these areas, and really the ego, I'm really hitting on the ego right now. It can purposely derail you, getting you caught in a loop within your mind of past hurts, misunderstandings, and it can create drama. And this is all to keep you occupied and to lower your frequency. The best way that we can process what's coming in and anchor it, really anchor it into our form, is through a higher vibration. So they have asked that I share this message to you, that no matter what it takes during this corridor, keep your vibration high. And I said, well, yes, there can be the ego that is creating drama, that wants, where you're fighting a whole war with someone in your head, or brings up these really hurt feelings. And so you can get lost in that. I said, what is our best way forward? And what they said was observation. We're not shoving down those feelings. We're observing them. We're looking at it and going, okay, yep, I can see the stories that my mind wants to create about a past hurt and how it needs to be addressed. But why now? Why does it need to be addressed now? It doesn't. It's not going to do any good. So you can see when you start to look at it that way and you start to observe it and go, oh, I really can see where, oh yeah, there's that abandonment wound. Oh yeah, there's that inner child. And it's not that you're shoving it down, because when you shove it down and it's then down into the subconscious, it affects your vibration without you even being aware of it. So instead, we observe what's going on. We observe, the frustrations, the fears, the idiosyncrasies that we may have during this corridor, and we just kind of make note of it, but we don't play in it. It's very much, we talk oftentimes in the spiritual community about boundaries, not going on someone else's roller coaster ride, right? Where, we can get into relationships with people, and these can be friends. It doesn't really matter, to where it's like, wow, it is one thing after another. It's up and down and up and down and up and down, and it's exhausting. We can also go on a roller coaster ride through our own internal emotions. So this time period, it's very much get off the ride. You can watch the ride, watch it. It's going to go up that hill and then it's going to go down, and you can make note of it, but don't get on it. And so from that state of observation, you can work to keep your vibration high. And the higher the vibration, the clearer we are, and the more we can access this really potent, vital time. This is a big deal. And we've been through eclipses before, right? We know that. But this one is really important for those working on embodying themselves as much as is possible on this earth plane. And I think that's one of the reasons there's so much hype out there. We don't normally hear this type of hype, but that's all a distraction. Your job is to stay as clear as possible, as high vibrational as possible, put on the blinders of the outside world if need be during this period, and just observe, what is it that goes on within? What is your own internal roller coaster ride without actually getting on it? And once you work your way through this eclipse corridor, if you find that these things are still coming up, that's when you start to address it. That's when you start to go, okay, are these parts? And then you allow yourself to dive into the feelings and the emotions, which will tank you just a little bit. And then you can pull yourself back up. But sometimes the truth is we need to tank ourselves. We need to go into the really painful and sad emotions, and we just need to allow ourselves to have it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So knowing that, it was very interesting this morning when they were saying it's really important during this time to keep your vibration as high as possible and the distractions down to a limit, right? I mean, life is life and it continues lifing. So there's going to be things that distract us, but when we can, really connecting in, really being present with ourselves, being present with the heart space, but being present from a state of receiving, not necessarily undoing. So I'm hoping that makes sense, and that you're able to not go on that roller coaster ride with yourself or anyone else during this period, and that you're able to receive all the incredible things that are coming for us, because they're here. That's why the distractions are so high. So take care, and I hope you have a fabulous day.